I want to talk a little bit today about what I mean when I'm talking about the shadow. So, there is probably a bit of a misconception where when I talk about the shadow, people are perceiving it as like these big, awful things that they're hiding, like they did a hit and run or that they like cheated on their wife or something like that. But the fact of the matter is that, yeah, that could very well be in there. But the fact of the matter is that the shadow is like parts of ourselves that we're not recognizing or um we're not um we're not witnessing, we're not realizing. And so that could be really very simple things like maybe you're a people pleaser and you're going along with things, and so you're shoving down your own personal feelings and your ideas about things in order to go along with somebody else's wishes and wants. And so that the things that you're pushing down, that becomes the shadow because you're pushing it down and you're hiding it from yourself and you're like locking it away in like these deep little dark places. And so that's just one example. There's lots of examples. Like maybe you, I don't know, like said something mean to your friend once and you have like a little bit of guilt still like 5 years later, and so there's like this little nugget of guilt that you have, you know, piled up in yourself and pushed it down, and it's like you're maybe not even aware of it. Like that's the thing about shadow work, is that it's bringing these things that you might not even be aware of into the light. And how you do that is, well, how you bring them into the light is you start healing the obvious traumas, the obvious things. You start really working on your self-love. That's a huge one. And as you are, you know, tending to your hurt and broken spaces and places, and you are providing yourself with this self-love, what happens then is that your frequency shifts. And so anything that isn't a match for that frequency becomes a wobble. And so the wobble is really something to pay attention to in your life in general. It's like listening to your body, listening to the signals that it's sending you, and seeing like, oh, there's a wobble there. What's that wobble? Then you start investigating. So you really need to be an investigator of your own depths, of your own emotions, of your own past, and of your own present. And so as you're investigating and digging into this stuff, you're going to pull out these little nuggets. They're going to wobble, 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 bloop, and they're going to like bloop onto the surface of the water. So they're not going to be down at the bottom anymore. They're going to and pop up. And then you can take this little nugget and look at it and be like, what is this thing? And it does take a bit of self-examination, and it does take slowing down and listening to your body, listening to your emotional state. Like maybe you're getting angry about something and you are kind of just like grumpy and snapping at people. Something is going on. There's something there that your whole system is telling you, like, okay, there's something that's wobbling. There's something that you need to, it's trying to bring your attention to something so you can fix it. It's not trying to bring your attention to something so you can feel bad about it, or so you can feel in more guilt and shame about what you're experiencing. No, it's letting you know that something is up and that it needs your attention. And so as these little things start blooping to the surface, you take them out and you look at them and you ask yourself, what is causing this? What caused it? Where did it come from? Did it come from my ancestors? Did it come from some choices I made when I was 22? Did it come from something my parents said or did? Did it come, where was the origination? And you don't have to get like too detailed about it. You don't have to dig in super deep, but you do need to look at it and identify it. Sometimes, here's the thing though, while it is really helpful to get in deep and really try to figure it out, sometimes even just acknowledging that it exists can heal it. So sometimes just being like, oh, I'm angry about something, or oh, I feel this like discomfort around this person or whatever. Sometimes just being like, oh, there's a thing going on, and looking at it and saying, okay, there's this thing. And as a result, I'm feeling this way. And sometimes that's enough. Like, I just had an interview with Chelsea today, and which I highly recommend you watch. Chelsea Lauren, Trauma Changing Queen. She had a lot of really good nuggets of wisdom, a lot of good exercises that are very simple. And one of the things she kept saying over and over, it doesn't have to be hard. Like it literally can just be like these little tiny like micro shifts and micro changes and like micro awareness. So it doesn't have to be like this big intense thing. It can just be like, oh, I got this little nugget of like resentment at my husband from something he did that I'm not actually processing. And so that's what I mean when I talk about processing emotions and dealing with the shadow, is like looking at these little things that are, they're just not a perfect fit for us anymore. Because if they're wobbling and coming up, it's our system saying, hey, it's time to shift this. You don't want it in your system anymore. And so your body, your higher self, your soul, it's never going to give you more than you can handle. You might be in a really rough place and going through some like really tough things and being like, this is more than I can handle. But the reality is that you can handle it. You really can. It just takes looking at the shadows, processing the emotions, and healing your inner child, loving yourself. These are like really not complicated ideas. It's just that nobody's ever taught us how to do them, right? And so that's why you're here. You're here to learn these tools because it's time. It's time for all of us to heal. It's time for, we're healing as individuals and we're healing all of humanity, and it's happening right now. And so, I have given you a lot of tools. And you just take those tools and one by one, just you go through the stuff and you do a little bit of work. And it's not even really work. It can be really fun because once you just like acknowledge the wobble, look at it, it poops out, boop. And then you're like, oh, 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 I feel so much better. And like the more that you can poop out these wobbly things, boop, boop, the lighter, the happier, and the more freer you're going to feel. You're doing such a good job. I love you so much. Okay? Give yourself a hug.